Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
And take two. We were 11 minutes, 24 seconds into this the first time, and then everything just locked up and shut down. Let's just watch my cursor stop moving. Because of the wonderful things that he does. Are we talking about Klaus Schwab, by the way? No. Are we talking about Nancy Pelosi? The Wicked Witch of the West, me pretties.
She does kind of use that witchy force in a bad way.
Or is it just the AI Borg Collective in general?
I think it's a little bit of all of that.
All of that. All of the above. Please make sure you are subscribed to both channels, as they have unique content. And on Evolutionary, we were talking about, the pox.
Yep. Indeed.
And we don't mean that in a derogatory way for all the monkeys that are listening out there. Davy Jones, I'm not sure if he's still around anymore. Peter Nesbitt, was it?
Well, we just don't want to insult the monkeys.
No, Mickey Dolenz, all those guys. They were great guys.
They were wonderful.
They were. Hey. But the thing that we pointed out was, again, who's really running the show here? And when you look at that photo, you see the photo on the left and the right. Now, the right's supposed to be his daddy. And again, Cindy said to me, too, do we want to start talking about this again? Because they're just going to shut it down on us again. But we did some banishing. We called in some reserves.
Yes.
Thank you out there, those that are holding the high vibes and doing your best to combat this dark magic that is being done by the cabal. And so, boy, do they not look alike. They really look alike. In fact, some have said, is it a clone? Uh-oh. I see, look at the little thing the cursor's got the spinner. They're starting to, because we're hitting on the reality here. But what we got is not necessarily a clone, but those places that you go to sleep every night? And then what's a shortened word for medicine? Use the first three letters and put the place you go to sleep at night next to it, and perhaps that's why, 70-something years later, he looks maybe 10 years older.
Yep. Do they have such technology? I don't know.
Absolutely they do. And they're going to be showing it to us not too far off in the not too far off distant future. And so we see this bombshell report. Now, coincidentally, when we rebooted the system and we brought back all the tabs, how it'll say it didn't shut down correctly? Do you want to bring up everything and restore it? We said yes. There was something missing, and this is what's missing. So now this is going to be the number one part instead of 11 minutes in that we're going to talk about, because there's something big here. This is part of that bigger plan going on. China placed Huawei equipment atop cell towers on purchased farmland near U.S. military bases capable of disrupting and capturing signals. And Rama says that's not nice. Yeah, and here we see, this is from RT, which is Russia Today. Or as they say, and I didn't notice this before, Russia and former Soviet Union. I don't remember seeing that part, and former Soviet Union, before. Maybe I just missed it. Of course, I look at RT every single day, scanning to see what's happening out there. That feels significant to me.
It definitely is. I mean, a lot of times we're given information and we're given it in certain ways so it can be thrown out there in certain ways. So you guys really pay attention to this, because it's definitely been highlighted in our life.
The U.S. government has stalled in its efforts to remove Huawei telecom equipment that the FBI claims could have spied on and disrupted communications at U.S. military bases, including those housing nuclear missiles, amid a broad crackdown on Chinese technology under the administration. There's certain words we can't say. Congress approved $1.9 billion in funding in 2019 to remove these equipment pieces across the U.S. However, the FCC told lawmakers last week that stripping the American networks of this Chinese gear will cost between $4.7 and $4.98 billion. Much of it remains in place. And it's going to remain in place until it's actually used, because again, this is part of that Trojan horse that's going on as I look to make sure we're still talking. Yeah, again, they know. This is also letting us know that we're getting very close. We are getting very close to when everything changes. Just got back from the store, and you know, the shelves were faced really nice, but boy, they were lacking. And of course, every time you go out, it just gets more expensive. So again, there is a Trojan horse well underway. Babylon the Great, we've talked about this so many times, and I've made videos on this from the early days of this channel, because this is what I've always seen. This is what they've always given to me, is that's part of the plan, to shift power to Beijing. But, you know, again, the real power is in Antarctica.
It is. I mean, there's so many different things going on, so much technology being used, and we're just not even aware. We're being fed a line of information that isn't exactly very true.
The Rio Grande ran dry over in Albuquerque, first time in 40 years. You know, again, we're setting records everywhere you look. When we check out Drought Monitor, it's just getting worse and worse. And of course, the Rio Grande, I mean, that's the big river, the great river, right? Well, New Mexico's got some serious drought going on, and you know, so does most of the West. And here in Texas, again, it's getting drier and drier and drier. And you know, in the Northeast and the Texarkana area, it's not usually that dry. I mean, typically 3 to 6 inches is average, you know, as far as monthly rainfall in this area. But it's only a fraction, and so this is part of that bigger picture. California governor declares emergency. Wildfire near Yosemite forces thousands to flee. You know, this is something we're very used to, wildfires and California. And so 0% contained at the moment. Let's send our prayers for things to be balanced out by Mother Nature, as at some point in time, Mom is going to fix it all. Farmer fought wildfires by creating trench to stop the flames from reaching his house. So yeah, and again, all that is going up in smoke. More and more crops going up in smoke. This, again, we've gotten that we're about 6 to 8 weeks away before it goes to a completely different place. And that's when you're going to see people really, really panicking. This is in the UK, by the way, and we've seen fires right off the highways in London. That's something you see in LA, but not usually in London. But we're seeing fires all over the globe. Greece, 4 massive wildfires going on over in Greece. Beautiful historical spots that are being threatened to be burnt away. Rama's enjoying a sheep horn, by the way. That's that sound going on. And flash floods elsewhere. So where it's not burning up, there's too much water. And this is in Iran, in the Fars province. 20 people dead, 3 missing there, as you have. And Sita's about to sneeze. And we're about locking up here again. Oh, yeah, no.
Here we go.
All right. Positive intentions out there. Positive intentions.
Raise it up.
So floods in Iran again. And when you look to Tehran, they have, that's the capital, by the way. Tehran has used up so much water that you have these massive sinkholes that have developed that are swallowing up everything on the outskirts of the city. Massive sandstorm in China, plunging areas into darkness. You can't make this stuff up. It is kind of like one of those big 2012 end of the world type movies to a degree, but we have more things to worry about, imminent things, than the earth changes unless you're in one of these areas. This is Sochi, Russia. This is in the Black Sea area as we see cars being swept away. And this is talking about being very, very biblical. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good idea to have some sort of flotation devices in many places. And again, this is the Black Sea, which, you know, we know Crimea is on the Black Sea. We know Ukraine, again, borders the Black Sea. So there's a lot of other things going on over there. Over in Yemen, we have at least 9 dead from floods over in Yemen as well. And in Pakistan, we have at least 312 dead from flooding. So, yeah, where there's not fire, there's floods. And over in Japan, we have an eruption. Now, this volcano over here, Sakurajima, is now attached, technically, to the rest of the land. It used to be an island, but this is part of the big changes. And, you know, boy, if we're going to take a look at some Earth change maps just to revisit some things and give you our updated take on some things, because, you know, we've talked about it in depth in the past. And Pavlov volcano, slow eruption of lava there. Not really, you know, so unusual. And we did have a geomagnetic storm that hit us. CME reaches Earth, G1. So the KP index has been at 5 on a 1 to 10 scale. And in these times, with everybody's growing sensitivity, or at least most people that haven't done a particular thing out there, you know, that ouchie ooey, don't worry, it's just a little pinprick. At least that's how Pink Floyd said it, before you go comfortably numb.
Yeah, don't mind the rashes and after effects. That's not what you think it is.
No, and nothing to see here. So we've had a lot of this, and this is all part of that transformation going on. Yeah, the globe is going to be a much different place in the future, but for the vast majority of mankind, it's not really the Earth changes that we have to be majorly concerned about. Again, it's everything else going on with certain agendas, especially with certain numbers, like 2030. Tornadoes in East China's Jiangsu province infect thousands, and there's videos in there. Looks pretty intense. It looks like is that her umbrella she's wearing? It doesn't look like a good situation with all that flying debris. Tornadoes are scary. I've been through hurricane and tornadoes, and man, the tornado was very scary. Thousands of baby chickens died from excessive heat after being left on the tarmac in the afternoon sun in Miami airport. That's just sad. And, you know, again, I think there's a lot of people that are having all sorts of cognitive difficulties because of lack of oxygen. And I'm not kidding.
I know, and it's really, really unfortunate. And I just see these little guys, and I mean, it's awful. How do you forget a whole bunch of little babies like that? And, you know, there's always there are these agendas behind everything we see. It's unfortunate and quite deliberate. And that's what we are raising our vibration up against, these things.
Yeah, you remember this guy? He told us the ice caps would be melted by now. He did say that. He sold many books. Well, let's listen to what he's saying today.
You know, the climate deniers are really in some ways similar to all of those almost 400 law enforcement officers in Uvalde, Texas, who were waiting outside an unlocked door while the children were being massacred. They heard the screams, they heard the gunshots, and nobody stepped forward. And God bless those families who've suffered so much. And law enforcement officials tell us that's not typical of what law enforcement usually does. And confronted with this global emergency, what we're doing with our inaction and failing to walk through the door and stop the killing is not typical of what we are capable of as human beings. You know,
words of wisdom from he that was going to be swimming on all the beachfront properties in the U.S., and yet they still have their beachfront properties. They're not underwater.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, they're going to make sure they can make payments and make themselves more comfortable moving forward by selling the same information.
And here we see households could be asked to turn down thermostats, switch off lights under emergency government plans to avoid winter blackouts due to gas or electricity shortages. And, you know, EU countries have already been asked to reduce gas usage by 15% next month. You got Germany, Austria, France, of course, the UK, all these public appeals. It's been telegraphed, you know, What's it really going to look like? Well, we're going to have to see. But again, do we have to really be going through any of this? In my humble opinion, no. No, but we will, because this is part of something much bigger. Central banks have issued digital currencies in these locations. Does this surprise any of you? Have you ever seen this map, my dear? So you could see the dark, I don't know, what is that color? Is that blue or green? I'm a little bit colorblind, guys.
That's a little bit dark turquoisey, bluey, greeny.
I kind of like it, but I like this one better.
I do too.
That is actually, now we're getting towards some of my favorite colors.
Yeah, yes.
But as we see, places that you might not expect, like Nigeria, the Bahamas, Jamaica, there's already digital currency issued. Canada, how about Russia, China, and many areas in the former Soviet Union, Saudi Arabia. So we could see there's many places where they are planning to issue currency, and then there's some that are exploring. I think I would put the U.S. into plan too, because there's a timeline that's been given. So yeah, this is a major part, and this is all going to be tied into your carbon credits. This is going to be totally tied into every aspect of your life, unless we could find our own little slice of heaven somewhere. And start to band together, and also ignore. And if more and more people will just say no. We could try it. How about you try it? Just say no.
Just work on it. Get that vibe out there.
No, we're not going along. Hell no, we're not going.
We're not going to do this anymore. Right?
Yeah. As Dee Schneider said, we're not going to take it.
We're not going to take it. Yeah.
Yes. And did Russia and China just announce a new global reserve currency? If you blinked, you may have missed it. Yeah. And also expanding BRICS. So this is the alternative system, but don't think it's our salvation, because it's not. It's absolutely not. Again, we have to look back to Herr Klaus and his words. And just saying, Putin, he's one of us. He said that. Now, there's people that totally believe that he is the man riding with the white hat on the white bear. Well, bear, Russia, bear, yeah. Instead of white horse, he's going to ride into town on the white bear. But then again, a lot of these people, they also believed in a certain letter of the alphabet, and have also believed a lot of things because they want it to be true. But does it mean it is true? Again, we got to look deeper. I don't trust anything coming out of this, the Chinese system. Now, China has a wonderful, rich culture and history, and David Adapt 2030 can tell you, they know cycles better than just about anybody. They have better records than just about anybody. In fact, both my son and myself kind of, history buffs when it comes to certain epochs in the history over there, and some of the great thinkers, but not the PCC. No. That's something totally different. Again, all these cultures around the world, the average people, all we want is peace. All we want is to get along. Let's explore cultures. Let's explore and just revel in the diversity, because it's beautiful. It's fun. It makes life interesting. It's the political system. And it's not just their political system. It's the political systems on the planet that have made everything a mess and are going to make it worse if they get their way. And we've touched on this. I just wanted to bring this back again. Blackstone prepares a record $50 billion to snap up real estate during the coming crash. The housing crash is kind of starting a little bit. The bubble is starting to move. I'm seeing much more attractive properties coming out. And yeah, it's at a time when many people are more nervous than ever. And let's face it, even me and Cindy, that typically we eat one solid meal a day, and then something like a small snack, whether that's a healthy shake, with some of our things that we add to it to supplement, because we always think nutrition first, or whether it's maybe like Greek yogurt with some fresh berries, things like that. Even at that point, I can't imagine what people are paying to feed a family of 4. Any of you guys out there with a family of 4, family of 5, or even 6, what are you paying in food bills a month? I mean, seriously. And the guides have said, too, they came through after I went shopping and I was telling Cindy about it. They said, well, part of what they're doing is they're herding people into buying the cheapest food, which is going to have the least nutritional value, which is going to lower your immune system and make you more likely to develop different issues.
Right. It's part of the alchemy of making people sick.
And so, again, you have Blackstone ready to gobble it all up. Again, think about that term. You're going to own nothing. You're not even going to have a car, we were talking about today. They want to do away with cars. It's not that they want you to have an electric vehicle. They don't want you having any vehicles.
They want you to be controlled.
So you can't go anywhere unless you use something that they're providing. Now, this mysterious red glow over the Atlantic prompted user to claim the end times is near. In 2014, there was a similar phenomenon that was spotted on a jet from Hong Kong to Anchorage, Alaska. The passenger claimed during the flight they noticed a range of deep red glowing lights that were much larger in size than your average city or group of boats, from above. And, there was another comment too. Oh, it was the guy that, the governor candidate for New York. Somebody questioned him about flat Earth, and he said, you know how many plane flights I've taken? I've seen the curvature of the Earth from above, the clouds. And, again, from above looking down, seeing something that's bigger than cities. Very, very interesting. And, what is this? And what is your impression?
So when I looked at this and looked a little bit deeper, it's a form of technology that I'm sorry I do not understand. I just look at the energy, I read the energy, and something is being compressed. Something is being forced to be moved, and it's creating a reaction. So just like as above, so below, we look at our human body, and there's things that can be done to our body to kind of force an aggravated reaction. There's things that we could either take, not willingly or willingly, and create the body to have a reaction. Something is happening here to create this reaction. So I don't think it's a very nice thing.
So is this human technology, alien technology? Okay. And is it ETs doing this, or is it humans and ETs?
There's a combination of a certain part of our military and ETs working together. They know at the certain levels what's going on.
Okay, so is this anything to do with CERN or HARP or anything along those lines?
It could very well be. Like I said, it's a technology that I don't understand, but what I can see and feel is the information, the energy is being aggravated. Like I see these cells in the body of our Earth. She's being deliberately activated through like lasers or probably frequency. So it could be both of what you're talking about.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. So this is supposedly a 25,000-year-old map that was discovered in Tibet. And as you see, North America here, Atlantis, Mu, Africa, Europe, Asia, right, South America. Isn't this interesting? It really makes you wonder. Now, with expanding Earth theory, you got to wonder how big Atlantis was. And then again, what we've gotten was Atlantis is actually a culture, so to speak, and it was spread in many different places. Yes, perhaps it was over here in North Africa, but also even into the Mediterranean and the Atlantic and elsewhere. As again, there were many different beings in Atlantis and many different beings living there that were not Homo sapiens. They weren't humans. This was basically a society where extraterrestrials came and went.
There was. I mean, it was all over the place. So it wasn't just a single place. It was an entire entity. It was very cultural. It touched everywhere.
And, many of you guys over the years have made reference to Maverick Star, which we've been aware of. I don't follow him. I mean, I'm aware of him. I know people have spoken of him. Did you follow him at one point in time, a long time ago? Yeah, Cindy used to watch him. but he talks about the pole shift. And so one of these videos, it wasn't too long ago, he was basically talking about, there you go, warning, we have only 10 months left till pole shift. And so that was 2 months ago, so that gives us 8 months. So, 2 months ago, we would be talking, early next year. Yeah, we don't get that. We don't get that at all. And, we don't really feel that you have to worry about dying in a pole shift. I think, right now, the most pressing thing is, the globalist agenda, if you want to call it globalist, Big Brother, if you want to call it cabal, if you want to call it deep state, if you want to call it, the secret societies, if you want to say the draconian, Anunnakian, Egigian power structure, whatever you want to call it, they're what we have to worry about. It's more geopolitical, it's war, it's plagues upon the land, and the following cures that come, so to speak, cures in parentheses. Those are the things humanity has to be worrying about. Because also, if we get in tune with the earth itself, if we spend more time getting ourselves grounded and rooted in meditation, out in nature, we'll be sensing things a lot better than we currently do. So we'll know when it's time to migrate. As I know many people will say, well, I know I'm only at 3,000 feet elevation, and I don't think that's going to be enough. You got to worry more about what's the geopolitical situation where you are, because what's in store for us in the next few years is civil unrest leading to, I guess, what we could look at as either a civil war / I think you have to do civil / revolution type of thing going on, while there's a third WW underway. That's way more pressing than this. What we get is decades away, and in fact, most people don't have to worry about this in your lifetime. It's at earliest multiple decades away from what we get. Now that's just us. Everybody should be using your own discernment, building your ability to sense things for yourself. Regular meditation practice, regular Qigong, mantras, yoga, mind, body, breath work.
That's the most important thing we can do, and it's going to raise our vibration. And when that goes up, we do feel these automatic pulls as far as where am I supposed to go? And that comes with raising your vibration. When you are more connected to higher self, you're going to feel something magnetic, something strange. Things move out of your way so that you can go somewhere. So it's really amazing how it works. But just like birds are drawn, to fly to different areas, we as humans, when we're in touch with the earth, and it's not convoluted and it's not screwed with, we do have a sense of where we need to be, because we and earth are one.
And as we've said, these predictions on the number of sunspots, when we're talking about grand solar minimum, everything we have to watch carefully, but yet I do believe that Mother Nature is not vicious. She's mother. Mother is not really vicious. We could say, Mother Nature is brutal when we look at predatory animals, when we look at different things such as earthquakes and floods and tornadoes. The weather out there is a reflection of the emotional state of the planet itself. Every single person, we're all cells in this planet. And yeah, I've noticed that a long, long time ago. I mean, back in the 80s, I noticed that there were more natural disasters, it seemed like, in times of war. And I think, again, that's part of the fact that we're all cells living in the body as something else. We're all part of something bigger. We're all interconnected. We, so to speak, we can feel and sense each other's pain. If this system was gone, and it will be gone, then things are going to really change. And we'll know, just like animals, when animals leave an area before an earthquake happens, they've got warning. They know. That's how we will be. That's how we are in other time periods when we're not in a dark age. So when we look to the predicted values here, so June, It was predicted there was going to be 42.8 sunspots. We had 70.5. That's much higher than expected. We had more than double in April what was predicted. And there was also May there. More than double what was predicted. So what does that say about the grand solar minimum and that whole theory? Now, we've gotten from the guides that ultimately we will be cooling, but in no way, shape, or form are we going to be facing an ice age in our lifetime. You know, not in most people's lifetime. We don't see that. We don't see that type of change coming. But yeah, absolutely. We should be paying attention to everything that the geopolitical world is throwing at us, because that is the most dangerous aspect that we are facing. This is Edgar Casey's map with his own handwriting on it, from what I've been able to gather, from April 1941. And so he made this a stable area, the Great Canadian Shield, stable. He said this area in Appalachia was going to be a safe zone. Now you got to realize too, he called for a lot of these Earth events to have happened decades in the past. So he was off. He was way off. He said a lot of these things were going to be starting to happen in the 70s and 80s, and now we're starting to see them. So many decades later, time is something that it makes it so that we can't predict anything exactly. Anybody that gives you one exact date is probably just trying to sell something. Of course, we can see things and be incorrect in our interpretations. He did say the Mississippi and the Great Lakes were going to empty into the Mississippi. The Mississippi River would become more like a Mississippi Sea. But, you know, not that the entire center of the United States would be absolutely gone. The central area rises slightly. West of the fault stays still. The rest of this is moving and drifting. Absolutely. I felt nervous as hell in Nevada, honestly. I did not feel comfortable in Nevada. I tried to get comfortable in Nevada, and it wasn't just about the desert. I just didn't like what I felt under my feet. It made me very, very anxious. I did feel good in New Mexico, although I didn't feel good in New Mexico about the governance of New Mexico. That's what I felt super uncomfortable with, was, the governor and how the lockdown was handled. I hated it. Otherwise, bearing all the drought and everything else and the cost of living, and finding a place that had a good water source. Otherwise, we felt very comfortable in New Mexico overall. Now, here you see Charleston area underwater. Atlanta, Georgia is going to be a seaport, is what he predicted. Florida stays still. Now, Florida, so much of Florida is less than 20 feet elevation. So, some of these things are hard to kind of understand. Excepting stable areas, the entire East Coast sinks slightly. Yeah, and you can see up in here, New York underwater basically, going into Pennsylvania and going up towards the that looks like that's past the Tappan Zee, so that would be an issue there. Connecticut and into New England as well. But again, he wasn't accurate. I mean, he's gotten a lot of things right. His predictions on health were amazing and right on. He helped so many people with understanding the basis of the things they were facing from a disease standpoint, giving them herbal options. He was fabulous at that, but timelines shift. Timelines are always changing. Nothing is set in stone. So everything can be changed. And, the guides even told me, like, what I originally saw as far as the war and everything has shifted to some degree. So, that's shifted too, but I still feel, and they haven't said it's not the case, that they still are planning a Red Dawn type of event in the U.S., and we could see with everything that's been telegraphed that is the case. But we're not terribly concerned with escaping gigantic tsunamis. At the same time, you know, there's areas to be worried about because we know, I mean, they've telegraphed certain things. Telegraphed.
You know, and I really do love and appreciate Edgar Casey. There's so many things about him that that really helped me, you know, his journey when he talked about when he went into trance, and he would speak of certain things, and then when he listened back, he would actually cringe because his belief system was as such that he couldn't believe he was actually saying these things. And I do get that. And everybody, every channel is unique. They're different. We're reading the energies. No one is going to be the same. We just read the energies as best as we can. And when it comes to time, that's a doozy. Now, I do believe he definitely saw these things, but with time being a man-made construct, you can't just pinpoint it on a calendar. That's not an easy thing to do, but you can look at it cyclically and kind of get an idea. But is that, you know, this Kali Yuga, next Kali Yuga? He could be way off, but so many things he was really dead on, and he's just a good person too.
Yeah, he was a wonderful soul, absolutely, and a lot of his information going into the Akashic records, and you know, talking about Yeshua and past, that's all great stuff. But when we're trying to predict the future, that gets a little bit more fuzzy. Do you know the U.S. was developing tsunami bombs? This is a fact. This was something that was going to be used on Japan. In fact, they were debating at one time whether they try to do, you know, the works that Oppenheimer did, and you know where that led to, or if they were going to do this instead to force Japan to stop and give up. So the U.S. did create tsunami bombs, and this has been out now for quite a while. This is from April 2021. Russian military releases terrifying video of radioactive tsunami torpedo test. And so what it'll do, it's, you wouldn't know if, okay, my God, was that Cascadia? What was that? Was it natural? Cascadia went. Did you hear? Oh my God, 8.3 in Washington. Oh wow, you know, but was it? Or was it this? You know, there's technologies out there. Nuclear missile designed to hit the ocean floor and create a tsunami. And again, you know, then we have all the talk of, again, Cascadia. This is one of the areas that they were looking to target. But there's others out there that have talked that they would also do this off the east coast of the U.S.
Right. So, I mean, it's just, these things are difficult to look at, but we have to keep reminding ourselves we definitely have the ability to change timelines, change things that are coming, because things do have the ability to become different, and we can't forget that. And please understand that since small children, we've been kept away from these understandings when it comes to timeline changes and shifting.
And here you see the U.S. Navy set off giant explosion to test the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier. It registered as a 3.9 magnitude test. There were three of these 3.9s that hit off the Florida coast. This is exactly where they would do one of those, you know, tsunami bombs. So again, does it mean that it's you know, an earth change like Edgar Casey saw? No. This is something totally different. Now this is a cover story because what we've gotten was that this was actually intercepted by the Galactics, and this was intending to cause that type of scenario. So you know, it would have led to all sorts of chaos going on. And, you know, again, we'll see how close these things bear out, but we don't lose sleep over this at all. And many people have also done other copies of these maps. You know, there's that famous Navy map. U.S. Navy has a map that looks a lot like this. Shows New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maine, Miami, southern, you know, Florida there, all underwater. Shows the Mississippi pretty wide, and shows half of Arkansas gone, about 90% of Louisiana gone. You know, here in Texarkana, yeah, it looks like we would be looking up at maybe 100 feet of water. Yeah, and of course, there's not much left of the U.S. on the West Coast. We don't see this, and Cindy scanned it out And, you know, if you look, you don't see anything like this.
No, nothing like that. In fact, I try to be very careful at what I do visualize, because our thoughts are things, and we have the ability to bring things into manifestation. So really, it's important to just keep our vibes really high.
And this is Gordon Michael Scallion's future map of the world, which, you know, it feels like it's very overly dramatic. You could see, you know, there's no Europe left. There's just a few islands left where Europe was, you know, and you can see massive amounts of land in the Pacific and also in the Atlantic as well. This is a little bit closer look, and this is his again, where you see, you know, taking that same sort of thing where the Mississippi becomes like a sea. And again, the only part of Louisiana that's left is the northwest part. The rest is pretty much gone, you know, but we don't get that it's going to be that bad. And, you know, again, we settled for the time being in the Texarkana area. This is a look at, again, closer view of that. You know, we're not worried as far as that goes. We're not thinking we're going to be inundated with a tsunami or anything like that.
No, I mean, if anything, it does look like the Mississippi is going to be a little bit bigger, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be catastrophic.
No, and again, we have other things, bigger fish to fry, so to speak, and they're geopolitical and involving war and famine and different diseases. That's the stuff that we need to be worried about, and this is a composite map from different sources, looking at where they agree on. So, you know, again, you got to go with your gut. You have to go with whatever feels right to you. It's a personal thing. And we see here, a thirsty squirrel. Isn't he cute? Again, look to nature. Look to nature. Nature will guide us. And, you know, it's good to look to the animals. They'll tell you what's going on. They'll let you know. If animals are vacating your area, then you might want to really, you know, pay attention. And, you know, but we don't get that. That's our main worry. It's more what the crazy leadership of the planet is doing.
That's really, really true. And nature will definitely help you balance yourself. So get out there, get those feet on the ground, or get the sun on your face. Absolutely.
And we wanted to share this with you. Because Cindy picked up on this a lot. And these are sounds from 30 trillion miles away, pillars of creation. That's really saying a lot.
This is the most beautiful sound that gave me so many chills. And this is what we have when we have light and sound. And when they come together and they come to a place like Earth, they create form. So this essentially is God, if you want to say. And you can understand why we have no ability to define that. There is no such thing. But yeah, I mean, this was the most beautiful sound. It gave me so many chills, and I imagine that many of you are going to feel the same thing. So this is creation before it comes into form, light and sound. It's just, gosh, it really moved me.
Absolutely. So guys, we couldn't do it without your support over on Patreon and also on Ko-Fi, where you could do one-time support for the channel or monthly, just changing the number of coffees. And, you know, again, with this the world the way it is, we so appreciate your support. Do check out Medicinal Foods. These are great, guys. They have a lot of good stuff over there to help boost your immune system, help you detox. Cindy and I will be doing a fast starting tomorrow, as I have to go bake her a cake now.
Oh boy, I get to have cake.
She gets to have cake.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So just so you know, guys, happy birthday to you.
He's so ornery. He's so ornery. So here's what I've done. I've managed to stop aging, and I want to share it. So at an age where you are very content and happy, go ahead and keep the birthdays, get the attention, get the presents, but stop counting, guys. Just stop counting. And it's over. We're done aging now, I guess, right?
Yes. Well, I will allow you to speak for yourself, my dear. As it is Cindy's birthday, so everybody, happy birthday, Cindy. She is the biggest blessing I've ever encountered, and I can't imagine, going through a single day without this joy next to me. I absolutely adore her. She's the best friend I've ever had, and I'm never bored because she's with me. This is wonderful. What a blessing, because if you got somebody that's your best friend and also you find fascinating, what else can you ask for?
I find that to be such a huge ditto. Such a huge ditto.
As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.